What's up guys, I'm glad you liked those previous videos that I did for the Lean Machine series involving the truth. I'm going to incorporate a lot more of those because you really enjoyed them. But this is just a quick update for all the people who are asking questions about the new Desire launch. It is now confirmed, 24th of February. We're going to be releasing 3 new hoodies, 3 skinny fit new core stretch joggers, 3 new tees and 3 all new American football jerseys alongside the final farewell to the Boom Baby line. So we're saying farewell to what started it all, the Boom Baby line, but we're saying farewell in style with 3 awesome new vests that we're releasing that are going to be limited edition, never to be repeated, and will be something that for those guys that get hold of them, they'll be able to keep and be a part of that timestamp that we're looking for here in our journey all as a team moving forward. So moving forward, the new Desire line is going to be taking over. We're going from taking the gym fashion into the high street. It's creating a whole new brand. So creating lines that you guys can wear outside of the gym that feel comfortable and that show off all the hard work that you're putting in there. Everything to denim, to coats, jumpers, a full-on high street fashion brand that will also cross over in certain aspects into gym wear. These things are going to be constructed to kick ass, whether it's inside the gym or outside of the gym. But more importantly, it's going to make you look good. So make sure that you tune into our Instagram and Facebook. Links will be in the description below and on the screen here. We'll be doing sneak peek pictures throughout this week, showing you what's coming, and then you can get set 24th of Feb. Hopefully you'll be able to grab what you want and what you need. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support. It's always appreciated. Enjoy the video.
It's never too late to change your life. The story's not over. The ending is mine. Whatever it takes to see you smile.
So today I've been really freaking unwell, which has sucked ass, but I've used it to be productive and got some edits done, caught up with clients, started all the new coaching protocols and things like that. Basically just eating a lot of fruit, trying to get the macros in there. I've had vitamin B complexes, I've had multivit complex, haven't got any vitamin C, which does help perk you up, stop feeling kind of heavy because it helps to keep the water moving through. Made an effort to drink bottled water today as well, which is good. I have forgotten to take my creatine for the past few days. I'm terrible for remembering to do that, so I'm going to do that now. But I just wanted to show you this. We're having these last few days, which is a turkey lasagna from Muscle Food, which is like a pre-prepped meal, which for now, like late at night, it's like nearly 12 o'clock, it's my final meal. This is really good. Macros on it are around about 9.5 fat. I can tell you now, yeah, 9.5 fat. Carbs are only 26, but the protein is 46. And it is a turkey lasagna with sweet potato in there and spinach. It's really good, really tasty. So yeah, just feeling pretty sucky, and as a result took today off. Was going to go into the gym again, but it's wise. If I went into the gym again today, it's cold outside, I'm not feeling great, my breathing's not good, I would have just knocked myself back further and further. So I'll take today off. I will go in the gym tomorrow because I know my body. I know it's not the kind of sickness that's going to knock me back another day, but it's one of those where I would have made it worse if I'd gone in today. If you're not aware of what happens when you do train, is your body uses a lot of amino acids that are utilised within your immune system. So if you are feeling unwell, make sure that you're packing in those proteins for the day. And obviously if you've got BCAAs, they're great for around that time, which is why BCAAs are good for when you're dieting and you're in a deficit. But you don't tend to need them when you're in a lean gaining phase or a gaining phase of any kind. So yeah, it's been pretty poo because I had the mentality of really wanting to go in, and I hate being stuck inside the house, but I have been, because other than doing a post office run, it's just shitty weather, shitty weather. So I'm really looking forward to Melbourne. I'm really looking forward to getting out to Australia. We're going to be there with Gymshark. We're going to be there from the 15th in Melbourne, and then we stay there for a week, and then we fly over to Sydney for another week after that, because my sister lives in Sydney, and it's the first time I'm going to get to see where her and her husband live. So it's going to be really, really nice. I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm going to hit this. I'm going to get another tea in, because that's what we do. If you're feeling bad, if you're feeling at all under the weather, what we do is have a brew. Remember, at this point I am still building up from being in a long-term deficit, so I'm building up to the maintenance. What I want to do this time, last time I pushed my carbohydrates up to around 400 to 450. What I want to do this time is keep my carbohydrates around about probably 380 to 390 and push those fats up more into the 70s region. Start making my body get used to fueling itself a little bit more fats, because I've kept fats not low but very moderate for a very long time. My body's become accustomed to that. So I want to develop my metabolism to being able to digest fats more readily and just utilize them more as a fuel. I think it's going to be a big benefit then when I come to diet. I'll be able to keep the fats higher, which is going to maintain a better hormone support, and also it is a high energy source, and it's good to be able to eat fats when you're dieting because it helps keep you perky. And the way I'm going to help my body develop that is, as my calories begin to get higher and higher, what I'm going to do is start bringing in the cardio work. So what I'm going to do is ramp the metabolism up alongside the food with activity. Activity is a really important manipulator, and one that's often either abused or neglected. What you want to do is do one at a time. You don't want to ramp up two things in one go, because then you don't know which is taking more effect than the other. So you'll see a lot of people will cut food and do more cardio at once. If you're in a deficit, that's not good. When you're in a gain, what you want to do is you want to ramp your food up until you hit to a plateau level, and then if you want to bump your food up like I want to do, like take it past certain levels that the body's not used to, put the cardio up first, wait till your weight does a little bit of a dip, then put the food up, because then you know that cardio is taking effect. If you put the cardio in and your plateau still maintains the same, then it's going to be a judging call on what you want to do, whether the cardio needs to be a little bit more intense, whether you can just add a bit more volume to your training and then cause that dip and then put the food up. So what that's going to do is it's going to give you a buffer. It's going to allow you to increase those calories without risking putting that fat gain on. Again, lean gaining is all about a slow, consistent process. So just that you've been sat editing and getting through emails, plans and clients, getting everyone caught up and back on track. Don't have any pre-work at the moment, so what I've been doing, and this is good for you guys who don't like the overly stimulated effect but want something that's going to give you a little bit of a pump, a little bit of a kind of amp before you go to the gym. What I like to rock around with is an espresso, good coffee. Be aware, if you're going to drink espressos exclusively, buy an espresso bean, because they do exist. They're much smoother, they're not as harsh, don't have that kind of thing when you drink them. Ours is pretty good. We've got kind of a mid-blend one which works quite nicely. I think it's a cinnamon base, which is lovely. Then a vitamin B complex. Any good vitamin B complex is going to give you a good energy kick. It's going to make your blood flow increase. It's going to help wake your ass up, and it's a very healthy, simple way of perking yourself up. So that's an espresso shot or two if you want to be brave, and a vitamin B complex. Oh, and I have had the NO2 Extreme, which you know is a personal favourite of mine. Bam! If you haven't seen it, all this is basically an arginine blend. So again, no stims. I'm going to literally go and do a full body workout over the next 3 days because my system is all messed up from the flying. My training's been all messed up. So this is all I'm going to do. 3 days, full body, picking different exercises each day to do. Going to continue doing my pull-ups and my dips. And Monday, we start back on track with a heavy week. Heavy for me. I'm not a powerlifter, guys, so it isn't going to be anything crazy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put deads in there again. We're going to start doing that. We're going to start learning how to do deadlifts properly through watching how I fuck them up. Yes? Good. And then what I'm also going to do is attempt to start doing some squats again, if my knee's okay. If it's not, we'll be doing horizontal press, hack squats, all things like that, and going through how to use those properly. Do you need squats to grow bigger legs? No. Are they a good exercise? Yes. If you don't do them, is your entire leg routine going to be wasted? Fuck no. So don't worry about it, guys. If you're not one of those people that's built to squat, if you have knee issues, if you have back issues, do not worry. There's always a different method. They're great because they're compound and they work so much more than just the legs. But if you can't do them, don't worry. Lots of people in the world cannot, and some of the best bodybuilders that have been around in the world, such as Rich Kaspari, could not squat for the majority of his career. So no threats there. That's all for now. I'll check back in later when something interesting happens. I'm going to go and work all of this.
What's up, guys? And so we're getting back on track, getting back with the workouts and back with updates of what's going on. Apologies for it being a little delayed since the last truth videos, which I'm glad you all enjoyed, but we are back on track now. A little bit of an illness kicking in and getting over that and back into training. So we're here Monday. This was heavy leg and chest day, so quads. As I said before, now I'm looking to lead back into heavy work. My body, as I've said before, many of you know, it's not designed to be a power lifter. It's not designed for heavy work over long periods of time. My joints are too little, they suffer from it. And even though the muscle can shift the weight and mentally I'm happy to move the weight, the joints just inevitably give up. And long term is what you've got to think of when you're looking at things. And for me, long term heavy lifting is only going to cause negative results. So that's why I work on the tri-phase routine, mixing it up between contraction, volume and heavy. But I do want to get back into the big compound movements now that I'm starting to heal up. The rehab's gone well. I've got the balance back in my body and control over the muscle. So here you can see what I'm going to be doing is leg press with a wider foot stance, and then I'm going to go to a high footed position leg press with the close stance. So getting the body back into shifting good amounts of weight, looking to press through the heels at all times and just start to get control over the joints, the stabilizer muscles, making them work. This is a really big thing to pay attention to whenever you're on machines, is to not just allow the machine to do the work for you. You still have to concentrate on the technique and where the load is going and where it shouldn't be going. What you're going to see here is all of my sets on this, what is effectively like a 5x5 routine. I aim for 5 reps. I don't work to failure. I skirt failure on the final 3rd and 5th set, and you should really be pushing towards a failure point on those sets, making sure the weight is heavy enough. If you're repping through, hitting 5 reps on every set easily, then you need to look at upping that weight, obviously if your technique is correct. So here you can see we're into the working sets. What I'm looking for here, you can see my feet are slightly wider than the warming set that you saw. I've already done a couple of warming sets. Our gym is pretty cold at the moment, and I'm just looking to make sure that everything is solidly warmed up, and even especially on legs and around the knees. So I did a lot of flexing work at the beginning, swinging of the legs, flexing of the ankle joints and everything like that, which you can skip back and have a look at now if you need to. But that's a really good little thing to do. You can sit on something where your feet dangle and just, 10 swing outs, hold at the top, and then extend the feet pointing forwards and then pulling them back in. And it's going to really help lubricate the joints and get the knees all warmed up and ready to go, especially if you're in a cold environment. So here you see me stack up the weights. I went from, I think it was 100 kilos a side, 200 kilos to 120 kilos a side. Now obviously it's going to differ from machine to machine. Here our leg press is pretty heavy loaded. You get a couple of plates on there and it feels heavy. When you do get those other machines where you can stack the whole thing and rep it out, which we used to have at one of the other gyms. So obviously it's respective of how your machine works, but here this was a really good weight for me. It worked out as 240 kilos. Here you see I've got knee wraps on for the final sets, the final 2 sets, and that was simply one to help keep warmth within the knees. They're not overly tight. I didn't wrap them like I was doing a heavy squat or anything. It was more just to help me keep my knee alignment. At all times on these, I'm looking to keep my hips, knees and feet in line. One of the really bad things a lot of people see when they're doing pressing is the knees rocking in on the positive motion. That's really bad, guys. So do not let the knees rock in. Go back up the same way you came down. If you need to and you work with a spotting partner, spotters, put your fists between the knees of the person doing the set, and they'll then be able to detect whenever the knees are rocking. And a lot of the time, and there you can see me doing like a little fuck you rep. I actually did 6 reps on that final 5th set because I was starting to get warm and feeling good. So I know now where my starting point will be. As I said before, I was leading in, so these are all leading weights. This is me testing where it feels good on my joints and where it feels good on the muscle. Again, warming in using this high angle leg press with a close foot. So what I'm doing here is working a lot more of the kind of teardrops and inner thigh. When you go wider, you're hitting more of the outer heads, and obviously it can pull it down into the glutes. Doing a high footed leg position like this takes it away from the glutes a lot more. So that's a good thing to see if you think you have like kind of dominant glute work when you're doing presses. This is a great thing to do. Also, a really big thing to note on both this, either this machine or the previous one you've seen, do not try and go too deep to the point where your butt or hips is lifting off that base seat. If they're rolling up and off the seat, all the pressure's going on the lower lumbar, and that's a really bad. You only need to come down to that kind of right angle press. For me, it works really well when my knees don't go over my toes. This is a big argument point on squats, but again, it's all to do with leg length and height and things. So some people, the knees can go in front of the toes and they're fine. For me, it creates a lot of pressure and takes a load onto the knee, so I need to avoid that. So again, work within what your body goes, what works well with your body. Again, here you saw me doing warming sets. So I actually started with quite a high number of reps on the first warm-in, just to get, again, lubricate the knees, get the joints moving, get the warmth back into it, because transitioning from one machine to the other, I had to deload one machine before I got to this, and in that time I had cooled off a little bit. Then what I tend to do is I load up And what I'll do is I'll do 3 reps, see how it feels. Then I'll load it up again, do 3 reps or 2 reps, see how it feels. And then I'll load it up again, do 1 rep if it feels good. That's the weight I set off on. So I started here on 5 plates on the first set and then loaded it up to 6 plates on the second set because I was feeling good. Towards the end of this exercise, you'll see me getting a little bit more explosive towards the end of the working sets. In the fourth set, and that is simply because that was when I was starting to really get warm. The stabilizer muscles, the tendons, everything like that, everything was starting to come into place. Here, what I'm trying to do is I am not locking out. I know if you look closer, you'll see that my leg just stops prior to full lockout. That is really important. Again, if you lock out, you're risking putting a lot of pressure on the knees, and you're risking hyperextending of the knees. What you want to be doing at all times, keeping the pressure on the heels, driving through the heels, gripping the handles so that you're able to pull and drive at the same time. If you struggle when you do this and you tend to have your hands up on your legs or at the side somewhere, try gripping the handles and really pulling on the handles as you drive through with the heels. Honestly, it'll give you a lot more power and it makes you feel really solid. Again, I'm looking to keep my feet in line with my knees and my hips, not letting the knees rock in or outward. And again, not trying to come too deep. If you try and come too deep, it's going to lift your butt off the seat, and again, you're going to displace where the load should be. Into the fourth working set, and the thing to look at here again is how solid each rep is. It still looks compared to even the second working set. So you can see here, I'm getting a nice explosive movement upward, not locking out, coming back down to a good depth, and then driving up through the heels. This is really important. A lot of people will come up onto the toes on these movements. Again, guys, if you train as a team, it's not critiquing each other, it's helping each other. If you point out when people are doing things wrong, don't take offense if somebody says that. Take their advice. You should be there to help one another and compete in a positive manner. So on the fourth set, I felt really good. You could see how I kept it. The explosive was there, and the 5 reps felt not easy, but I felt like I had more in me. So I then loaded up to 6 plates, and again, as I said, this is the leading week. So 6 plates now. I'll probably do my warm-ins on. I'll warm up with 3 plates. I'll warm in on 4 with 3 reps. Warm in on 5, 2 reps, then do 1 warm-in set of one rep with the 6 plates, and then go into 5 working sets with those 6 plates. So these leading weeks help you kind of gauge where you want to be at. If you're not always working off a 1 rep max, you can work off 1 rep maxes and kind of do 80 to 90% work. It's up to you, but I like to build in and see where the joints are at, because a lot of the times working off 1 rep maxes doesn't then transition over into doing a lot of reps at that weight, simply not because as I said before, the muscle can move it, but sometimes the joints suffer. So with me, it's all about protecting the joints. So then moving on from the legs, from quads even, onto chest. So I did my rotational work that I normally do with the dumbbells, which hopefully you'll have seen, and that's where I just use light dumbbells to rotate the shoulder joints, working the scapula and everything like that, making sure that it's all engaged whilst warming up, and making sure I'm taking care of my rotator cuffs, doing all my movements and rehab work that I need to do. Again, warming in with a lighter weight, doing around about kind of 5 to 8 reps. This is not testing weight here. What we're doing is just, again, warming up the joints, getting the tendons, everything moving, getting the synovial fluid moving around the joints, because at this point I've been training lower body, so I'm coming into upper body. The blood's all in the lower part. I want to start getting the blood flow through into the upper part of the body. Here you can see I'm going to put wraps on, wrist wraps. These are one of the best things I've ever used. I wish I'd used them earlier. For me, they work 2 ways. Here you can see I wasn't wrapping that tightly, and that's simply because at this point, again, I'm using them just to keep heat in the wrist joint, because it's silly little things like when you're lifting heavier weights off the racks and stuff like that you tend to twinge, and by doing this, keeping the heat in there, that's less likely. Then obviously as the weights get heavier and heavier, they're going to help stabilize and help me press better. Look how you can see the outer head of the dumbbell there was slightly tilted up and the inner head slightly tilted in towards the chest. For me, this is a fantastic way of keeping the load on the chest and off the shoulder. I really, really would advise you guys trying this. A lot of people will tend to press and the outer head of the dumbbell will end up pointing down towards the floor. And what that's doing is, as you extend towards the top, it's taking the load off the chest, over onto the shoulder, and then down through onto the triceps. Tilt that inner head in. You can see it's ever so slightly. It's maybe like half an inch, but it makes a huge difference. Again, if you're working as a team, keep an eye on that with each other and let each other know whenever that you start tilting the weight out or you're not keeping that technique and form. So again, this is the leading week, so working through to see what weights are working. Started on 37.5 kilos, which is, oh God, I have to do maths. I think that's around about 80 pounds. And then I moved up here. I think we're on 42.5 pounds, 42.5 kilos even, which is roughly around about, I think, 95 pounds, is it? Something like that anyway. Just times your 42.5 by 2.2 and that'll give you the value. And here working on 5 reps again, working through 5 working sets was going to be what I was doing. But at this point, it was late in the evening and the gym was coming towards closing time. So what I decided to do, rather than have to set up a bar and go do decline or some other movement, I decided just to stay on the bench and just press through, do 5 of the 5x5 working sets, building up the weight so that I was able to then have my base weight for the heavy working week that was later, to come later on. So I have my base level then. And then after that, what I decided to do was just keep pressing through and do AMRAP sets with the leading weight that I ended up deciding upon as being my 5x5 kind of weight level, which I think was 45 kilograms, which is 99 pounds, I want to say. So yeah, basically 100 pounds. And the great thing here is I had impingement in my left shoulder, and throughout every single one of these sets and reps, I had no pain in my shoulder. So again, I was being very cautious, making sure that I was leading in, making the joints get used to the lifting heavy again, making sure that my technique was strong, making sure that when it started to falter that I didn't try and press out extra reps that I couldn't get. Here, this was my 5th set, going for the 5 reps again. You can see they felt nice and good. I did waste a little bit of energy kind of fidgeting around, trying to get my foot position, but this was simply because I was trying to keep my body in balance. Having that glute med tear on my left hand side has meant that my body tends to twist sometimes. I'm just very cautious about that, very conscious of how my body alignment is at all times. So sometimes I will pause at the top of reps and then just adjust my body and get it back in alignment rather than let a leading side start taking over. And that's absolutely fine, guys. It is worth sacrificing a rep to readjust your body and keep a better form throughout, because those reps will come then with better form later on, which is going to be more beneficial anyway. So after doing the 5 working sets, I then went into just basically short rest periods and then aiming for 3 to 5 reps of kind of AMRAP style training with the leading weight. So I felt good at this time. My shoulder wasn't hurting. I was nice and warm. And so I just kept pressing and working the technique, making sure that I was driving through, keeping the heads of the dumbbells tilted slightly inward. What I also do to protect my shoulder is slightly rotate the outer head of the dumbbell towards the wall away from me, so I'm kind of pressing at a very slight angle. That allows me to keep my elbows a little tighter in, and it is a bit more of a natural motion to be able to press. It also allows you to tip the heel of your palm up a little bit, which helps you tilt the head of the dumbbells inward nice and easily. It's quite a natural, comfortable position to press in. So moving forward into the 7th set, I'm going to skip then to the last set. I think I got 9 sets in total before I felt like I was kind of done. But here you can see what I'm going to do. While I was talking about the fidgeting, watch. You see my right side, you see how that kind of came up a little higher than the left, and that's because the left was damaged and the right became the leading side for a while. And that's what I'm watching for, and that's why you can see me repositioning my feet all the time, trying to get the balance back through my body and try and keep it nice and even, which I do there quite successfully. 4 reps by the time I hit the 7th set, not too bad going, and I managed to maintain, I think it was the 4 reps through into the final 9th working set, aiming for that 5 rep range target set. But obviously I would have been happy with 3 at this point, and my rest periods were decreased as well. So because I was sacrificing doing another heavy movement of a different variation, I wanted to keep the weight the same, but then obviously wanted to utilize the time I had available. So that's why I kept working with the heavier weight. But as a rule, with the AMRAPs, you can either drop it a touch or keep the weight the same if you're feeling like, your 5x5 work was strong and you hit your final set of 5 a little too easily. You can then finish with an AMRAP set and then go up the next week. Well, I hope these are going to help you guys. I hope, seeing from what I'm going to learn from this, working through my errors and techniques and how I improve, how you guys are going to help me improve, especially with the deadlift and squats, how I get through that. Hopefully it's going to help, and we'll keep moving forward as a team. So until next time, boom, baby.